Adding a new laminate to the materials list. Before starting a project, you must have a laminate and a resin inserted in your materials list. Otherwise, there is nothing to base your silo calculations upon. So, let's create a new laminate together. First, we're going to go to the Laminates heading and click on Create a New Laminate. This brings us to a page where we can enter information about our new laminate. So let's start by naming the laminate. It is important to give each laminate a recognizable name because we're going to be referring to these laminates once we're making actual silo calculations. Next, we can add a description. This could be some additional information about the laminate or something that helps us to identify this laminate later on. So you can put a note here or some sort of reference, but this will be something that you can check out later, especially as you're adding up laminates into your materials list. It might be helpful to have some additional information so you can distinguish different laminates later on. Now that we've named our laminate and given it a description, we're going to enter the module thickness. Each time we build up a layer, you get a module thickness. So we can put that here, and the thickness of the pre-run laminate. Lastly, we need to select the type of laminate that we will be creating. Notice that we called our laminate a CSM laminate. So in this case, we need to pick CSM laminate, but if you are making a different type of laminate, you also have these options here, mixed CSM woven roving laminate or winding laminate. It's really important to make sure we've selected the correct laminate type because we need to make sure that this is correct so that subsequent calculations will also be correct. Now that we've entered this information, it's time for us to add information on the material properties. These values are all determined by laminate tests or theoretical values based on the EN 13121 standard. So let's fill in values for our particular CSM laminate. So for this particular laminate, these are of course the values that we have, but you should add the values that apply to the laminate that you will specifically be creating. And of course, after adding these material properties, we can add our partial influence factors. Now remember that the A1 factor is one of these factors, and it's directly related to the origin of the material properties and the validation that has been performed. In this case, here. Now the A5 factor relates to the long-term performance of the laminate. The A5 factors for strength and stability can be filled in according to the EN 13121 standard, or can be determined by testing. Fill in these here. Now, after you've checked that you've entered the right information for the partial influence factors, and you've checked above that you have all the right information here for your material properties, you can click on Insert. Congrats! You have successfully created a new laminate that will be present in your materials list. You can see that it popped up right here. If necessary, say later you realized you have to make some sort of change to this laminate, you can click on Edit to make any edits that you'd have. We'll bring you back to your material. You could change something. You could click on Update. It's saved and back again here in your laminate, in your materials list. Or say we no longer use this laminate anymore, we can click on Delete, and then it will disappear from our materials list. So now this completes the tutorial on how to add a laminate to your materials list. If you'd like to learn how to add a resin, please check out our next tutorial.